Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Inside Movies Galore. I'm your host, David Streggy, and as I start to rein in the Christmas season and get into the spirit of Christmas, I have to pull out my coonskin cap and get warm like everyone else. So today I have a review of a movie from 1986 by a director by the name of Clive Donner, and some years before this, he had actually worked with George C. Scott on A Christmas Carol, as well as a version of Oliver Twist. But here we have a film production that worked with the Finnegan Company, Bavaria Atelier, Orion Television, Finnegan Pinchuk Productions, and Bavaria Films, and they worked with National Broadcasting Company, J.L. Bowerbank and Associates, Eurovideo, Image Entertainment, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, which is MGM, Orion Home Video, and RCA Columbia Pictures Video. But I also remember it being on what was that Christian company? Family Films for Entertainment, or something like that. In any case, it was a film that my mom had picked up. And it starred a very young Keanu Reeves, a very young Drew Barrymore. She played a redhead by the name of Lisa Piper. Evidently, she has a sister who works with a friend and a guy that she likes called Jack Fenton. And they all work for Barney, who evidently is the store manager of this toy store. And he's kind of a Grinch kind of a guy. So when they buy her a sled or something like that, a storm happens, she gets on this sled and it ends up running into a tree, knocking her out. Well, when she woke up, she woke up in this story town called the Realm of Toyland, which kind of reminds me of like Storybrooke from Once Upon a Time, before it was Once Upon a Time. But she meets a bunch of characters who look like her sister, and Jack, and evidently their friend George, who evidently play Jack B. Nimble, Mary Contrary, and Georgie Porgy. Now, her mother, who was Mrs. Piper, is played by Eileen Brennan, which I believe that we have seen her in Private Benjamin, and I remember her in Pippi Longstocking's The New Adventures. So we have a delectable bunch of characters. Richard Mulligan plays Barnaby Barnacle, who has a couple of characters, or goons, as you call them, as he rolls around in his home of a bowling ball. As evidently, whenever he goes after people, he evidently is kind of like a Pottersville kind of a character, where he just keeps buying up everything in Toyland, and he shakes people's will down and buys a property. And he wants to marry Mary, but she's in love with Jack. And Lisa Piper from Cincinnati gets in the way of it. Now, the Toy Master, who is kind of like the Santa Claus of this toy town, is played by Pat Morita, which, as we know, is Mr. Miyagi in the Karate Kid. So we definitely have a bunch of characters in here. There's a hunchback, and another druid called Zach and Trolog that Zach and Mac. That's what their names were. They were played by Ralph Nee and Gaston Hani. So I thought that the characters were entertaining. There were some creatures of the forest that looked like creatures with glowing eyes and leaves that were on the outskirts of town. That evidently Barnaby Barnacle was actually controlling by some evil that the Toymaster had actually collected, and Lisa and her friends Jack and her supposed sister Mary and George all ended up having to go up and against this evil and the evil doings of Barnaby to kind of get their lives back in order. I thought that this was an entertaining, even though it was corny. When I look back on it now, it's maybe a little childish, and I love that the fairy tales are kind of like those that you would have watched on a canon film, and the '80s were really good for that. So I thought that the people who put together the set design was spectacular. I thought that the creatures were original. I also like the magic of the storytelling, and the wonderment that this film could bring to a child. And so I just enjoyed the story all around. I love that some of the characters played two different characters, and they played them rather well. So I thought the film was entertaining. It's definitely a missed film, but because this is the Christmas season, I wanted to talk about a few more Christmas films before I got into some of the independent ones that I normally do. And this one doesn't seem to be talked about as much as some of the ones that are out there. So I thought that the creatures, the characters were entertaining. I thought that Googie Grass, who played George, also Georgie Porgy, was kind of a character to get involved with. And I guess when I was a kid, I would have wanted to have a driver's license at that point in time. And and Lisa Piper seemed to be able to have a cookie license to able to drive one of the vehicles that she was driving around. So I thought that. Again, I thought this was entertaining and cute. In any case, hopefully you enjoyed my description of the film. Like and subscribe to my page if you have not. Definitely check out some of my other cool reviews. I'm getting into the holiday spirit, and I'm sharing my best Christmas films with you. So thank you for listening. Have a great day, evening, or morning, and Merry Christmas, everyone.